Hello, this is Bob Hall with Hallsome Farm. Today I'm going to show you how we took a number 10 deep Langstroth box and we turned it into a capture hive so we can capture swarms. We're not quite into spring yet and they'll be swarming here soon, so we wanted to make a capture hive. Now, the reason we did cut it in half is because we need the volume. There's an individual, his name is Dr. Leo Ramskin. I'm probably butchering that last name, but his website is horizontalhives.com, and he's been doing this. Real great source of information, and all he does is capture wild bees because the genetics for wild bees is usually a whole lot stronger than splitting or buying your hives. Plus it's a whole lot cheaper, and I'll go over the list here in a minute. But one of the things, if you buy store-bought honey, you're almost guaranteed to have pesticides in it, because almost all commercial bee companies spray for varroa mites and wax beetles and things like that. They say, well, it doesn't harm the honey, and maybe not, and it doesn't kill the bees, but it still gets into the honey. You can't avoid it if you're spraying. So his philosophy, and I really like that, is don't treat the bees, and the ones that survive have the genetics to survive, because what happens when you spray, not all the insects die, the strongest survive. So you're making the insects stronger and stronger by doing that, and you're making the hive weaker and weaker because they lose their resistance to it. So if you capture a wild hive, chances are their genetics are already stronger than something you might buy. So that's why we're building this. Now, according to him, I was just gonna use a small box, but he said you got to have the volume or bees won't come to it. So one of the things we had to do, now if you look at his website, like I said, he's written books, it's really wealth of information, but he's from Russia, and they've got a frame that his frame that he uses would cover this whole box. So he uses a great big frame, and some of my next videos I'm going to show how we're going to build some long langs so that we can use the regular frames, kind of like a top bar process, but with using the regular frames. So we still have to have the volume, but I want to be able to use the regular frame, so we just cut one box in half and put it together. I'm going to make by the way, I have a video of us capturing a live swarm that built a hive in our barn. I'll put the link up here if you want to see how we captured that, and that was a couple years ago, and that hive is going gangbusters. It's just doing really well. So now I think that's what I want to do, is capture my own wild hives, and I'm going to use long langs I'm not going to use the traditional Langstroths anymore. I'm too old and they get too heavy, and to get to the bottom one I got to take all of them off, and there's several reasons, and I'll go into that in another video. But anyway, I wanted to show you what we did. Now here's the list of materials that we used. If you've got some old boxes laying around and you want to do it, we just cut in half, and that gives us a little over 7 inches. It'll hold 5 frames, and I've got the list here. We bought a 1x12, and we use that for the sides. Now you're going to have to rip it a little bit to make it fit, but that's not a big deal because the pieces that we rip we put here on the lid, so you get to use that material. And you're going to need a 1x10. We put a box is 20 inches long. We put 21 inches on the bottom so the bees have a little landing, and on the top to make the lid, it's the same thing. It's a 1 by 10, and that's all the lumber you need. So it's really inexpensive to do this. We also bought a 1 by 4, and we ripped it just to make the sides, and we got plenty to make some more sides. Then over here we put a piano hinge, and I'll show you that in a minute, so we can break this open. And here they're number 8 wood screws that we use. Of course we glued it, and then we've got this sash here to lock it into place. So let me show you. Just take the lid off, and then this opens right up. So when you're transporting the wild hive, if you put any frames up here, and I would only put 1 or 2, you don't have to fill it, because you're just trying to capture a wild hive. But on the bottom I would put at least 4 frames, and it's really good. Maybe hit the close-up. It's really good here. And then if you use a frame that, you know, has got some comb and stuff on it, that'll help attract the bees. And I'm just going to call him Dr. Leo, but if you go to his website, you can buy this little kit, because the other thing that attracts the bees, or if you've got some other way to do it, but he sells these little tiny plastic vials that you put lemongrass seed oil from essential oils, and you can get that. And he's even got a little siphon to put it in. But anyway, you put a couple of these in the box, and that scent will attract the swarming bees. And then if you've got a frame or 2 with some wax on it, that'll tell them this is a really good home. And you want to put that 9 to 10 feet up into a tree, or and if you live in a more dense area, you can go out into the country and you can put these boxes up. What he does is he uses a ladder, puts the box on the top of the ladder, wraps a strap around it, tightens it up, and it holds it. They're not any heavier than a Langstroth box. But anyway, that's what we're doing. Hopefully here in a few weeks I'll be able to show you a video where we actually capture a hive or 2 and put them into a regular long laying hive that we're going to build. Now, I went ahead and bought the material. Now, I don't know, there's not a lot of dollars in material here, because the piano hinge we bought if you get a 12-inch, they're like $8. If you get a 24-inch, they're $10. If you buy a 48-inch, they're $11. So we bought an $11 and we cut it into 3. The sash hinge is $3, and the wood wasn't very much. So we've got enough material. We bought enough material, and it was just 1 by 12, 1 by 10, and 1 by 4. And when we're going to make a box from scratch without using an existing box, and we had to buy a 1 by 8 for the sidewalls. Other than that, the material list I gave you is the same. And so in the next coming video, we'll show you making that one if you want to make that. And so to make a box and to do this one was enough material. It cost $78 in total. So that gives us 2 boxes. But if you've got some leftover or unused Langstroth boxes, this is very cheap, very easy to do. And then you can capture some wild, and think about it, if you go to buy a nuke, it's $165. This is less than $80, and we're getting 2 of them. If you have these boxes, what you probably get three, at least three, maybe onto your fourth one for the same 80 bucks. So definitely worth doing just to get the better genetics. And hopefully we'll show you some good stuff here in the future. But if you want to make one, we'll show you more details than us making the new box. But it was pretty simple. Any do-it-yourselfer can do that. And we did have a table saw that we cut this with, but a lot of it was just done with a hand saw, so not real difficult. Anyway, I excuse me. I appreciate you watching, and remember, any job worth doing is worth doing poorly first. And you know, whether you're getting into bees or a baby just learning to walk, you know, you're going to have some failures, but if it's worth doing, you're going to learn, and it's going to turn out eventually to be really a super thing. So anything worth doing is worth doing poorly first. Thanks for watching.